And today, it was your show.
Yeah, we didn't even review.
We didn't. We kicked in. It was like 6:10, 6:15. Somebody called. That was a hard call, but just asking the listening family for help, and then it just took off from there.
Yeah,
it was a great topic. Do you want to review the follow-up topics? Review what happened today, or review the week?
I mean, I want to open it up. If you've got issues we've talked about this week that you want to follow up on, you can. I don't know if we were totally done with the follow-up we did at the end of the show. Maybe we can revisit that as well. But in overtime this week, we started off on Tuesday because Monday was a holiday, talking about the coming daycare shortage and what that's going to do. And I've started to pop up. We've got a close family friend who finally got a call from the daycare that their child regularly goes to, and they're like, yeah, we can get you in 2 days, otherwise we're just full, sorry, capacity, because the capacity's changed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So a lot of families are going to be expecting to go back to their daycare, and they won't be able to. It's going to be complicated. Wednesday, we talked on overtime here about the murder of George Floyd. Yesterday was Safransky doing his, ridiculousness, essentially. Who do we got showing up here today? Let's pop in there.
I'm over here.
I don't know what you're doing. She's live on YouTube, and she's just letting it slide.
Guys, it's been hot. Have you been enjoying the hot weather?
You're saying hot like me now.
Oh, no, I do. I know. You do rub off on me.
It sounds hotter when you say it like that.
My kids catch me, and I'll do things and be like, Ma, you're not Brian. Stop. Mike is here. Isaac's here. Deborah, hi, girl. Derek, good morning. Great show today. Oh, thank you,
thanks, Derek.
Rob, what's up? He says, you two have to be exhausted after the show.
I mean, I'm exhausted.
Because you work. When I get home, I'm tired. And the kids have finally figured out to kind of, it's like spent, like mentally. But it's fun.
Sarah sent me a love note of sorts this morning by text that basically said, you need a nap today. I'm going to keep the kids quiet. It's
that's so nice.
What a gift.
Which actually brings up something
what?
that we talked about earlier. She's probably more empathetic with you now because she used to work, but I'm saying she works now.
She was tired yesterday.
It's so nice that she did that.
Oh, you're tired?
Yeah.
Wonder what that's like after a long day.
Lisa, my girl. Lisa has a YouTube channel. She just started for Christ Temple. Good job, Lisa. Heather says, thank you for talking about hard things. I'm with you, Brian. My addressing the difficult things causes great growth. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Love you guys.
Thanks for your good note.
Love you, Heather. Sandy, what's up? Sandy, I think Sandy sent a message. Or maybe not. Hold on.
There's more than one Gina. Sandy, you know.
Ty, what's up? Theola, my sweet friend. Good morning. She says, great show. Love you all. Keep up the good work.
Yeah, because she didn't say great show, but thanks for
Yeah, she didn't. I'm over here filling in. Lynn says good morning. Leslie shared the stream.
Leslie!
Wow.
Thank you, Leslie.
Heather says she loves it hot. I like it hot. I'm just sad that our pool didn't open. I got the kids a sprinkler for the trampoline to kind of make up. I didn't tell them that because they'll probably be like, no, Mom. I mean, it's nice and all, but it's not the pool. But I love the hot weather.
We're going to visit some of your notes in the hard show today, whatever. We'll get to that in a second. I do have to point out, just so you have sympathy for me, one of the many contradictions that are Janelle Neville's.
What?
I'd like you to tell everyone, when it's winter and it's cold out.
Oh my goodness.
How do you want the house? Go ahead.
Hot. So I turn it up. Len wants to keep it at like 72, 73. If it was my choice and I was running things, I would put it at like 79, 80. Because I want to walk around in little tanks. He tells me put a sweater on. I'm like, I am in my house.
So I assumed, knowing that about my friend Janelle, that in the summertime, she's going to open those windows and Len and everybody will be like, can we put the air on? She'll be like, no, I like it hot.
It is hot.
What do you do?
No, it's hot. So I want the air conditioner on high, and then I want to be cuddled in the... Dude, like, heat in the winter just feels different.
Contradiction.
There has to be an awesome woman out there that understands that.
In the wintertime, you go, I'm from DR, I like it hot. And now it's hot out like DR, and you want the cold.
Yeah, no.
Do you see what I put up with?
Samantha, Walter, I haven't seen Y'all commented in a long time, Miguel. Let me go to your comment, Miguel. You don't even ask Miguel about his back? That's so messed up. He has a Brian Janelle mug. He's the one that was like, I was the first caller a few weeks ago. Y'all didn't give me a mug. He says his back is, that's messed up.
You are...
Ty. That's right. She says, I'm with Janelle. I like it hot in the winter. Thank you. Hot. Sharon loves the show. Eva loves the show. Y'all got to go. I'm going to put the link up. Go to YouTube and subscribe without leaving us. Subscribe. Mike says he hates the cold. In the summer, too? Your air conditioner...
You're so inconsistent. You forced Len to pay all that money for the heat in the wintertime, thinking he's going to be freed up in the summer, and now you're making him pay for all that cold.
Oh my goodness.
I got to call him, see if he's
Isaac
okay.
says he has a question.
What?
As a white male, are there things that I can avoid doing to allow black people to feel at ease around me? Or should I ask, are there triggers that I would possibly do unknowingly that would make you feel nervous? Can you speak on that? And somebody, Callie, North Carolina. She's in North Carolina. Oh, no. Well, anyways, go ahead. Or do you want to wait and talk about that later?
No. We can answer that. Maybe to give the context. Somebody's being like, "Whoa, Isaac, where'd that come from?" No, Isaac you're a good friend of the show. Obviously, people know that.
Love Isaac. Yes.
Excellent beard. We all know this about you.
He's awesome.
If you regularly attend this. So he's responding to one of the follow-up topics we did for the last hour of the show today. Somebody sent us a message on Facebook. It was not anonymous, but since it was a private message, I'm going to say it's anonymous because I don't have their permission to say their name by any means. Here's what they wrote. I'm sorry for this if it's upsetting. Which is, I always get nervous when I hear things like that.
Or like when somebody's talking to you and they go, I don't want to offend you, but right there you're like,
and you just go, I'm offended. That's it. So I'm sorry for this if it's upsetting. I agree that racism is a real thing. It's wicked and ungodly. However, I truly feel that you're dedicating way more than needed to your program. The media only wants us to see the negatives, and when we focus on all the negatives, they win. Growing up with my best friends, they were African Americans. I speak fluent Spanish. I love all people regardless of race. I'd encourage you all to focus more on the most important thing, the Word of God and the Gospel. Don't let the media guide your program. Thank you and God bless. Anonymous. And so Isaac is responding to that because we spent a whole lot of time breaking that down, saying we were grateful the person, it really was, like, as nerve-wracking as I was at that, it wasn't a personal insult by any means. No one said, Brian, you're dumb, or Brian, you're ugly, Janelle, you're this or that. I almost said, Janelle, you're ugly, but no one would ever say that. So I corrected myself. So we spent a lot of time breaking down why we love this person, but fundamentally disagree with not just the premise, but pretty much every point they made. Doesn't mean we can't be friends. But that's where Isaac's question comes from.
Miguel, who's, I'm sure he's Hispanic. If you're not Hispanic, I mean, he is. Miguel, duh. He says, I sent a few texts earlier, but I was operating under more emotion than anything. I will say that the anonymous person that stated you guys have spent too much time talking about racial issues has really made me feel even worse about this topic. This simply tells me loud and clear that they actually are uncomfortable with this topic because they may struggle with racism still. Let's face it, it's alive in our churches still today. I have been discriminated many times, even in my church as well. I pray for these people that God will open their hearts. And just because they may have a friend that's Hispanic or black doesn't mean that they're not struggling with racism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, gosh, it's a lot. It's so because it's offensive for someone to go, hey, I know everything about race issues because I speak Spanish.
Yeah.
That's offensive to you, right?
No, dude, I know people that are fluent in Spanish that struggle with racism. DR, hello. Not the whole country, obviously. But there are some dynamics going on in the Dominican Republic. They've been going on forever between Haitians and Dominicans. And Haitians are predominantly Afro-Haitians. And I've heard comments. I've seen it. It's in the news. It's disturbing. So you could be fluent in Spanish and be racist. So just because you're bilingual, that tells me nothing. Because racism is a heart issue. It's a gospel issue. It's a sin issue. So, yeah, no.
What? And now, you're Afro-Dominican, Len is black. You're my friends?
Yeah.
I obviously have not have any issues of race to deal with that.
All right.
I mean, that's a false premise.
Yeah.
It's the existence
The fact
of,
that you would even say that is a problem.
I think so.
It's that typical person that says, "Oh, I'm not racist. I have a black friend." Wow. Like, if you can actually count your friends or are keeping track of that, that's that's not.
But
that doesn't justify anything.
Yeah, it's a false premise. The
Yes.
idea that you have friends of a different race doesn't mean you're absolved of any race issues
right.
ever. I'm still working those out in my life.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I had to ask myself when I was living on the south side of Chicago.
Now, you just surprised a lot of people. You got to explain that.
Well, because I think I'm always going to be working on issues
Yeah,
in my
we
life
all
in
are.
every
Yeah.
area of sin, selfishness, self-righteousness, pride,
Yeah.
lust, whatever it is. I'm going to be working on it the rest of my life. But even when I started to recognize race issues, I had to go, wait a minute. When I see white teenagers cross the street in Chicago, I don't reach over and lock my door. Why do I reach over and lock my door when black teenagers do?
Yeah.
I'm not worried I'm going to start hurling racial epithets at you,
No.
but do you see where I think it's a
something
continual
that's
journey?
ingrained in a lot of us. Jesse Jackson actually just shared something recently where he says, it breaks my heart that when I'm walking alone in the streets and I hear steps behind me, he says, and my fear kind of increases and I turn around and see a white man, he says, it breaks my heart that I calm down. And he's black. He's African American. So we all have implicit bias. We all have racism. It's around the world.
It really is. I remember I talked with an exchange student in my undergraduate degree. I had dinner with a guy from Singapore, and he went into great detail about the social hierarchy of Asian ethnicities and how rampant racism is in Asia and who's at the top and who's at the bottom. And he didn't say it with joy or anything, but he was breaking down for me. Listen, this is not just your problem.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So, Kathy, we got to answer Isaac's question.
We do have to get to that.
But Hope says racism. Oh, I like your name, Hope. Says racism is also an experience issue. Kathy says I worked in an inner city clinic, and there are issues between blacks and Puerto Ricans. Yes, there are. There are issues between Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. So
there's a history in New York of African Americans and Jews.
Ooh,
having problems in New York City. Sure.
There are issues within the African American community and Latinos because I've experienced it in my own family growing up, and it's colorism. There's actually a documentary on it, and it's grading beauty and value based on the shade of your skin. So the lighter you are or your hair, it's dysfunctional. Sandy, good morning. She says, I disagree with Anonymous. I, for one, appreciate you guys taking on these issues, hard topics, and unpacking our reactions and feelings and behaviors in the context of being a Christian. We talk the talk, and you help us explore how to walk the walk.
Well, that's really sweet. Thank you,
love
Sandy.
you, girl. I want to visit you just real quick, your Facebook page, because it tells me, oh, you live in Youngstown.
That's
cool.
A great city. I love Youngstown.
Sue says, over 20 years ago, Elmbrook Church had a couple, husband, white. The husband was white, wife was black, come in and talk to us about racism. They didn't stop there. We were in a small group where I was physically close to them. I could see the hurt in their eyes as they told their story. They wanted us to ask questions so we could understand more.
Well, that sounds really productive.
Victoria says, I love you guys. Thank you for keeping it real. I love you, girl. I'm going to visit you just because you say you love us. You probably love me more. She works domestic violence and child advocacy.
She's working.
Love that. That's actually something
what are you doing?
So close to my heart. I'm over here just talking to Brian. Man, you're amazing, Victoria. Hope says racism is a cultural issue.
And, by the way, for the record, this person, again, really, it was a nice note. We disagree with a lot of what they said. I'm not mad at them. I did spend time trying to verify if we spent, like, for example, we spent over half of our time this week talking about race issues. They may have a point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But when I do keep track of everything for Follow Friday. I keep all of my materials from the week. Here's all this is this week materials we used on the show. And Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there was 12 total hours of programming, and we spent 2 total hours of the 12 talking about race issues. So I felt like that was a fair amount.
Yeah.
It wasn't. I don't think it was too much. Anyway.
So Sarah in Ecuador, mi amiga, says, absolutely, Janelle. Whiter skin is usually more valued, even among Hispanics, at least where I live. I know women who were rejected even within their own families because they had darker skin.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. I have actually been very protective of my girls because my experience has been, my mother and my family is awesome. But people will come to our house and compare me to my little sister who's light skinned, who has like hair that's different to mine.
But your parents have very different skin tones.
My mother's dad, she actually tracked it. He's like second generation from Spain. Like he knows where he's from in Spain.
He's just as white as I
am.
am.
So that line is white. And in fact, she has like blue eyes in the family or in that side. Her mom was black. So it's really biracial. It's not called that in DR because they're Dominican. So yeah, she's biracial. My mom's light. She has hair that's like Sarah, or like.
And her skin is lighter than yours.
And mommy's skin's lighter. My dad's family, oh my goodness, like dark. And the only reason I say that is because I'm mad because I like dark skin, and so I was hoping one of my kids looked like their uncles, their great uncles. They're so beautiful, but if you look at the picture, it's like darker than Len. So like both extremes. So of course it's gonna play out in when people have kids, and so my siblings, my sister is lighter than I am, and that was fine. I'm 12. In fact, this person that said this friended me on Facebook, and I can't. She's one person I can't accept because it hurt. Like as a kid, and I couldn't say anything or do anything. And now as an adult, I'm like, I can't believe you said that to a 12-year-old. She was in the house and she was like, oh my goodness, look, the baby's so cute. She's lighter than Janelle. Look at her hair. Oh, like I had to hear these comments. Oh, and so the message is always lighter is more beautiful. I have even seen people in our community say, when you see a biracial couple, oh, you're lightening the race, or you're like improving the race.
As a positive attribute?
Oh, yes. So I'm protective with my girls. Reina she's 8 now. She loves her afro, and her sister has hair that's long and straight. And I love, because I'm protective of comments to Reina and the message that's sent to her. I love that Reina, like, she's lighter than me, and Reina walks around saying she has brown skin. And I'm like, that is so awesome that she loves her brown skin and she loves her afro, because we got issues. Even in black communities, we have issues when it comes to colorism. Lynn says also the India caste system. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, it's in India. It's technically illegal now, although it still exists. It's part of their Hindu culture, like their religion, because they believe in reincarnation.
Oh.
And what you're reincarnated as is a result of your works in this life. Mm-hmm. So if you do a lot of great things now, you'll move up a caste in the next life.
Yeah.
Which causes a lot of really harsh treatment in this life, because people believe if you're in a bad social position, it's your fault.
Oh.
Right? Okay. So they have it. It's complicated. There's many layers. The bottom layer are the untouchables, and they are people. They are the people that, like Mother Teresa, was known to actually stop and care for because nobody else would.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's terrible there too.
Monique says, I have experienced colorism my entire life. Very, very hurtful. Yes, very hurtful. A lot of my insecurities.
Is that what it's called?
Throughout life. Colorism, yeah. There's actually a documentary. You should watch it. Actually, and I'm not trying to change the conversation, I've talked to my boys about it because some of it is perpetuated by black men. Just bear with me. Women do it. We do it to each other.
I'm not a black man, so
no,
yeah.
I don't want to. I know, but I talk to my own sons about it. What they find beautiful matters, and so I tell them it's not so much who you marry, who you fall in love with. It's what you find beautiful within your community. It matters, and so I always tell them, make sure your sisters understand that you find their color beautiful, their hair beautiful. So even with the two sisters, it's so beautiful. My sons always are careful to, like, it's not just Nia comes down with her long hair. Oh, your hair looks pretty. I'll tell them, make sure you validate Reina's afro. There's a message you send when you're not intentional on it. So they're careful when they both come down to say both, because they know, and I've told them, they have a system, the media, Disney, all of that, that's pushing a message every day, Reina in particular. And I love the way it plays out with Reina, because she'll say, she's done this, where she'll be like, oh, Nia, your hair's so long and so pretty. And then she'll turn and be like, Mommy, can I wear my afro today? Because I've wanted her, celebrate Nia, but like celebrate yourself, but be comfortable enough where you could look at Nia and say, wow, that's beautiful too. But I get you, Monique. It's so sad what's going on. Aretha says, wow, I'm so proud that we can talk about this. All my life and every day I experience this directly and indirectly. It's happening all the time. And it's we want to say Disney in the media, and that's true. But it's in our community.
And when you say our community, be more specific. People
of color. African Americans do it, and I can say Latinos do it every day. In our shows, I've actually seen, I'm not going to use her name, but it really doesn't matter. She's a famous judge. She's like a Judge Judy. Super smart. I think she's amazing. But she did it one day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you just said that. She was like, oh, you're whitening the race. Like, all happy about that. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have not gone far at all. And little girls like me will sit there with your family, and you listen to that, and it sticks, and it stays. Oh, it's so sad. Angela says, Janelle, I have learned so much from you on this topic. Thank you for being so open to discussing. My attitude has changed a lot the past 10 years about our races. I think a lot of it had to do with moving to an integrated area a few years ago. I love that my granddaughter's preschool class is mixed. Best way to teach children.
Yeah, no, there's a significant value in that. Definitely.
Sandy says, I went to your page, Janelle. Your kids are beautiful. Oh, thank you.
Look at tables have turned. People are looking at your page.
Aw. But the other thing I wanted to say, too, about being careful, I was talking to a friend of mine, and she said she has a cousin that has hair like Raina or hair like mine. This is difficult to comb through when you're a little girl. And so her cousin had hair like this, and she has hair like Nia, which is like straight, easy to do. And she was like, even when, let's say, grandma or auntie or mom is doing your hair, and the reactions you hear sends a message. Picture this. You got Raina sitting right here. No, I'm doing Nia's hair, and then I grab Raina, and I'm like, oh, this is just, I can't, and the reactions, and I know that's subtle, but I've talked to women like me, and it sticks with you.
Wow.
Oh,
something I never even think of, but you're right, like, because it's harder to do Raina's hair.
It's harder, and so I've been intentional.
But that doesn't make it less beautiful.
It doesn't make it less beautiful, and so I'll just tell Raina, okay, we got to set a time, and it takes time, but how cool that you can do different things with your hair. Monique says, colorism and racism together means where do you belong? Colleen, good morning. She says, Janelle, I love how you are raising your children. You are an example. Well, thank you. And yeah, and there are things I got to learn and that I'm messing up on. Hope says, the year 9/11 happened. I was in, oh, that's cool, 1020 English college class, and we discussed racism, and peers my age at the time said that racism does not exist. Wow, the level of blindness is unreal. In college, Brian? Have you been in circles where you've heard that?
I think it's possible to grow up in like a monocultural situation to the extent that it seems as if it's a past problem. Think of it this way. You grow up, let's just say, in an all-white culture. You don't interact with anyone of a different race. And the only exposure you have to racism is in a history book where there's black and white photos of Dr. King.
Oh, yeah.
I think you could innocently start to just... I don't think it's malicious. I think it's one of those like, wow, aren't you glad that we fixed that in the 60s?
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not happy about that. But I think that's why Angela's comment is so wonderful in that she finds joy in the diversity in the kindergarten class.
Yes, I love that.
Because that will quickly be able to make sure a kid finds out that that's not a past problem. It'll be exposed to it much earlier.
Yeah.
Am I making sense or sounding horrible?
No, I think it makes sense. I think you have to live in communities where there's no well, no, you can live in a community where it's diverse, and if you're from majority culture, you just wouldn't live it, so you wouldn't see it, so you could still think, no, that's not a thing.
And it wasn't a malicious I don't care about this. It just never came up.
Yeah. Valerie says, you guys' radio show are also trailblazers.
Oh,
I listen to a lot of Christian radio and TV programs that are heavily broadcasted, and they don't touch on social issues. You guys are really speaking a lot of hurting hearts. I woke up this morning weeping, and when I turned on your station, I felt as if my hurt was being acknowledged. God bless you.
Aww.
I love you, Valerie. Can I visit you? Oh my
should give her
gosh,
a
I
hug.
want to hug you. Like, go
You
hug
can.
her.
It's-
Oh, Valerie. Just excuse me, y'all. Excuse me, Valerie. Oh, love you. I could just hang with you today all day. Oh my gosh, you look like you're part of my family. You look like one of my aunties. Oh, I agree with myself. I don't care if you agree. She looks like mommy. She looks like mommy's sister. Oh, Valerie. Lisa says, Isaac, just be... Yes, hello. You got to answer Isaac. Lisa, thank you.
Yeah, well,
Neville's representing.
Let's go back to the original question.
So, I look so awkward when I do that. Oh, gosh.
Just when you do that?
So, Isaac asked... Hold on. It was early. Oh, Brian. Please, guys, hold on. I'm sorry. Help me, Brian.
You got the mouse. He asked essentially, like, what can he do to make people feel more comfortable?
Yeah, as a white person, what are things that he would not say or say so that people of color around him would feel comfortable? Is that fair?
I think that's about it, yeah. I don't know
Why can't I find it? That's weird. Okay, so that's what he said. Lisa said, Isaac, just be yourself. You shouldn't feel that there are things you need to do differently. Be you.
Yeah.
If by chance you offended someone, I think it would be the time to offer your apology and perhaps note what you may have done that was offensive with that person. There are triggers for all people, nevertheless. Let your light shine.
Do you agree with that? And not just because she's your sister-in-law?
Be yourself. If you want, well, yes. If you're in a crowd and you want, yes, be yourself. If you want intimate relationships with people of a different color, I think you got to go further than that. Is that unfair? Is that asking too much?
I do think if you overthink it, it can make it worse.
Okay.
Like, there was a time, if you're hypersensitive, it can make it worse. I can give you an example. So Sarah and I were members of an African-American church in the south side of Chicago. I've mentioned that before. There was this really funny time where we were in our married couples group. Sarah and I were standing in a circle with a bunch of our friends. We were the only white people there. And someone was trying to get us, they wanted to tell us something about another guy in the church. You know, like you'd say, oh, you're Len, the guy. And we didn't associate the name with the person. You've done that.
Yeah.
And they're trying to describe him to you. They're like, you know, Joe, he's the guy, he's tall, he's got the hair, he's got... You guys, there's one other white guy in the church, and it was Joe. But everyone was too uncomfortable to say he's white.
Yeah.
So Sarah goes, you mean that white guy? And everyone's like, yes.
Yeah.
And it was like, you don't have to do that. Isn't that overthinking and oversensitive?
Yes, but I know people that are uncomfortable with that. I've had to tell people because they're uncomfortable saying, oh, that Puerto Rican guy, or look at that Dominican guy. And I'm like, dude, don't be uncomfortable. That's who I am. That's like saying the girl that's short, or you don't think there are people that would get awkward with that. So people don't know. It's like Lisa says, different people have different triggers. Like there are African Americans that don't call me, I'm not African American, I'm American. Don't call me black. You don't know what to do with people.
Well, but then what you do in response to that is you go, oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. It's true. I like that.
But I think you do have to be more, but you're saying there's more intentionality involved?
If you want intimate relationship with, or friendships with people of other cultures, I think getting to know them, asking intentional questions, asking about their experience matters. And not that has to be all your conversation. I've mentioned this before, but I've seen that played out with my son's best friend. This boy is amazing. He's white, blue eyes, blonde, and I tell him that he's my favorite son. It's really weird. And so he's so cool. And he asks Isaiah stuff like, have you ever had an issue dating a person that's white and their reactions with the family? Or what is this thing about? Like when he sees current events, he'll ask Isaiah. And then when Isaiah shares it, he's like, wow, that's messed up. I'm so sorry. He's not scared. And so he gets into Isaiah's reality. It's easier to be intimate when you make an effort to see the world through my eyes. I'm saying that because I've worshiped with people and I've been friends with people and worked with people in ministry that are aloof about my reality. Things will happen, or I'll share stuff. These are people I worked with intimately with. I'll share stuff that's hurting me and I'm grieving through in current events. And not only don't they share it, which is fine, they don't ask, they don't say, man, like, are you good? I had one of my friends that does a good job with that. When the George Floyd thing happened, she texted me and was like, I'm so sorry if I can do anything. Like, she just validated it. I don't know. I hope it doesn't sound like it's a lot to ask. Just a little bit.
But for the point of discussion, though, I remember Pastor Tanks and Dee Dee, because I think I saw Dee Dee's here.
Dee Dee, hi.
Pardon me, First Lady Dee Dee. That they've talked about there's some measure of exhaustion involved if that's brought up too much.
I agree.
To me, it's almost like love the person before you start trying to figure out racial perspective. Otherwise, it's going to sound like you're using someone.
Right.
Just to say, like, I have a black friend and you know.
Yes.
What I mean?
And I think it's just being a friend. Like, if I had a friend, it has to be genuine. If I had a friend that I know has a history of domestic abuse and is living out the ramifications of that, if I genuinely loved her, it would be hard to bounce around that topic and stay away from it. Or if you just recently came out of a divorce, for me to act like, it wouldn't be hard for me to be like, man, are you good?
Yeah. So
it's just genuine.
When it comes up, talk about it.
Yeah,
and that's to Lisa's point. That's just being you.
Yes,
you know?
Yes. Miguel. Oh yes, I read your message, Miguel. We love you, and yes, we do need to talk about it.
You gotta read Janet's comment too, right there. Janet
says, I hardly ever comment, but we love you, Janet. But keep doing what you're doing. We need to have these conversations in our Christian communities. I so appreciate you, Brian, and Janelle.
Thank you, Janet. I know, hey, thank you. I rarely comment in my own private social media engagement, so I know what it takes to actually weigh in on something, so thank you. That's really sweet of you to take the time to do that.
Sarah says, would it be fair to say be yourself, but also show an attitude of openness and humility so those in your circle feel that you're approachable and open to correction?
Really good, Sarah.
That's
good.
Awesome.
But then again, isn't that what you're to do as a Christian who follows Christ, is to exude humility and openness?
So when we say be yourself, it depends. Because you may need to grow spiritually, right?
But that's where I think the person on the other end of the conversation has to also be displaying a significant measure of humility and grace.
How?
Well, because I have to tell you, there's a lot of people, for example, who are white, who are afraid to talk about race issues because their biggest fear is that I'll say something and that you'll go, oh my gosh, you're such a racist. When you're really just genuinely trying to understand.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if I'm going to take a risk, I need you to just give me some extra grace when I try to figure out the language and the...
Yes. I believe in that big time. That is so true. I love that. Sarah says, I had a recent conversation with a friend. She was describing racism at her new job. Others were asking her what she wanted to be called, African American, Black, etc. She said, Tamara. I'd like to be called by my name.
I'm sorry to laugh, but it's like...
Oh my goodness. Kathy it kind of can relate to Isaac. She says, I know I'm walking on eggshells, so I relate to Isaac's question.
But you know what though, Kathy? I think the fact that you feel like you're walking on eggshells is a sign that you care.
Yeah.
And I think it's a good start in a sense, right? I mean, if somebody was apathetic about it, I think that can come off more aggressive, but can't you sense when someone's being careful and you know where it's coming from?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they're like, Black or Dominican, I'm sorry, Latino.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm just speaking Spanish.
Yeah.
I don't want to offend you.
I've had people do that. Do you want to be called Latino or Hispanic? And they get all scared. And I don't. And so I'll tell them, I know where you're coming from because people disagree, but I told them, you can call me whatever. As long as you validate that I'm Dominican. Yeah.
Just don't call me late for dinner.
Yeah. Catherine says, thank you for sharing your feelings with us, Janelle. I really need to hear this. Hearing this will help me to be more sensitive and compassionate to the pain and struggles of others. Please continue to have these discussions in the future and frequently. For Isaac and for Kathy, I also wanted to say, if you don't have one, use our show or email us. It's good, and tell me if this is making people too much of a project. But if you have one person in that culture that you can check with and be like, yo, is it bad if I do XYZ? Or somebody that you can kind of go to help you navigate through some of
Yeah, why not?
Because not everybody's safe. But there are some people that would welcome that. Or you can even ask beforehand and say, is it okay? I really want to grow in my relationship with people of different cultures. Can I ask you questions moving forward?
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. Ana Gonzalez. Ana Gonzalez. I hope you like me on Facebook, Ana. She says, I love that you teach your daughter to love her hair. I'm in my 30s and it's still hard to not straighten my natural curls when I want to look and feel more professional, beautiful, or accepted.
Oh.
Not saying it's bad to change your style if you want to, but I have learned to check my motives before I do it. Can I tell you something so sad, Ana? I have heard recently people telling me, as we were talking about hair, natural, whatever, that it is more professional, it looks more sophisticated when I straighten my hair and it looks like long and silky. And I get it because that's what I feel, but I've had to fight that because I'm like, that feels wrong. Like, if flat irons didn't exist, this is the way God created me. And for me to tell myself I don't look professional or acceptable unless I do that, that feels wrong. But there's, like, a lot of people feel that. So I get you, Ana.
That's tough, Ana. I'm so sorry you have to deal with that.
Yeah.
But, so many things are a hard issue, so I'm glad you're thinking through that. And it's important to point out, too, like, if it's not a problem and you're not worried about it and you want to straighten your hair, big deal, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, go ahead.
It's like she said, right? You're agreeing with what she says.
Yeah.
It's about your motive.
It is about your motives.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that if you straighten your hair, you're wrong or betraying.
No.
Some people try to say that.
Why you're doing it, right. Ayanda, before we leave.
That's TK.
Oh, it is.
Worship leader from Moody Bible Institute.
Says so much to grieve about in the race conversation and so much to repent of.
Yeah, he shared some great comments earlier. Ayanda, I saw that. Sorry we couldn't get to it, but yeah, you're absolutely right. I saw it.
But I celebrate that we have communities like this and around churches. I mean, it's happening where people are like talking about it. That's a good thing. Like, for example, Dr. Russell Moore. There are a lot of, there's another one. He's a leader. He's young Platt. Is it Platt?
David Platt.
Stetzer. Yeah, that are like being courageous and talking about this. So we're doing good. Sue says, oh my goodness, Janelle, when you said about the hair thing, I so understand it. Isn't that crazy? Trisha, I love your name. And most churches' hurt comes from the rising of the bar to accommodate the ministry of many. Ty, thank you guys again for addressing all sensitive issues from a Christian perspective. We love y'all.
Well, thank you.
Have a good weekend. We love you guys.
We got to go.
Please,
sorry.
Like, I'm going to put the link right now. Go subscribe. I want my kids to, like, start calling me a YouTube star because they told me I don't have enough